Welcome back, everyone. I'm Eric.
And I'm Kevin, and this is Exploring Whiskey, where we will be sampling whiskeys from around the world.
Today, we're going to be taking a deeper dive in the Buffalo Trace Distillery with one of their unique, and actually this was the first release, and that's going to be the Weller Full Proof. This bottle was just released the end of 2019.
Yes, and it was a very limited release. It is rumored to be an annual event that they will be releasing this full proof, and it's one of the first times they've gone into 114 proof. So should be a very interesting flavor profile on this.
Brand new.
Brand new. Another thing to notice, it's a cork.
It's not a screw top.
It's not a screw top like the rest of the Wellers. There we go. Ooh, that's a darker color.
Yeah, the color's much darker than the Special Reserve and the Antique. To the nose, it does not smell hot
114?
at all. No, not at all.
The other interesting part is this is one of the first times with the Weller line they did not do the chill filter or any of that. It is, it's basically bottled at the proof that it went in.
Yeah.
That is super sweet. That is a lot of fruit.
Yes.
You know what?
It's got some legs.
It's got some legs, but it's not what I was reading. I was reading just massive amounts of oil coming off of this because of the way it was filtered.
Yeah, very fruity to the nose. A bit of caramel.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that similar to a lot of other Buffalo Traces that, it's a wheated bourbon. You're going to get a sweeter note to it. It's not overly corn heavy. It is that wheat really comes through strong and gives it that caramely.
It's not even that hot to sip.
Okay.
For 114 proof, that's a very smooth finish.
Wow. Okay. So when I first started to just move it around in the mouth, I thought it was going to warm up, and it didn't. It turned sweet.
It stayed sweet.
That is very sweet. There's a lot of fruit in there. There is that cherry note is really strong, which is funny because we kept getting apples and almost everything else that came out of the Buffalo Trace and Weller line, but that is cherry.
Caramel on the end. Yeah, sugary too.
You do start to get, it's not the ethanol spice. I'm going to go back to, it's that barrel. There is a little bit of that barrel tannin oakiness that hits you in the back of the throat.
I think the longer you chew it, the hotter it gets.
Yes.
But that initial, when you chew it, like that sweetness just stays on your tongue.
Real
But
quick.
the longer you chew, you start to develop that, a little bit of burn.
Mm-hmm. When you're going to taste a brand new bourbon or whiskey, that first sip like it's hot coffee. Just that nice little itty bitty sip, and kind of let it roll right through, and you'll get some of the notes. If you really want to try to see everything in it, you put it in your mouth, you swish it around, or they call it the Kentucky chew. You just kind of
chew it, or sometimes like wine, where they tell you to aerate it in your mouth. Kind of draws out some of those flavors. I like to do that. I think that brings out a lot more. Or a little drop of water.
Especially, this would be interesting with water. The more oil that's in a bourbon or whiskey, when you drop that water in there, it'll really start to move around, and you let that sit. That could be very interesting. I'm gonna throw a drop in there.
Yeah, it got a little hotter as the sips go by.
Especially at 114, throwing a drop of water in there.
You could do a cube with this one. I probably still wouldn't though.
That's so much sweeter on the nose.
Yeah?
Yeah. All you get is that brown sugar. It's really, really strong on the nose now. And I know you're supposed to let the water and the oil kind of mix and settle. Chewed it, that burn mellowed out. The sweetness is multiplied. I think that might be the right way to drink this. Just a little
bit of water.
Little drop of water in there really opens that up to a different, sweeter, just even a little bit more smooth. Again, nitpicking a little bit here. It was very smooth to start with. That's a nice, very nice finish to that now.
See if the nose changes at all.
Seeing the legs now. That's coming down. Yeah.
The nose, there's a little more, I feel like a little more ethanol to it now. Nose opened up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a combination of sitting in the glass and opening up, and a freshly cracked bottle.
Yep.
The neck pour is what that's called, because it's filled up into the neck. So that neck pour is usually going to be a little. It's bottled up. Yep. Is really like all the notes of that whiskey is going to be a little bottled up. So even just drinking it down, we could come back to that tomorrow or the next day. It's going to taste a little different.
I'll come back tomorrow.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's so far none of the Wellers have disappointed.
No, it is. There's a reason why it's a favorite out there. It's in high demand.
And if you see it, buy it.
Yeah, this particular bottle was one released, very limited release, very limited window, super hard to find. MSRP was $50. I think we got our bottles for around $60. Yep. I've seen it on secondary websites for $3.99. It starts to get absurd because of how hard it is to find some of these bourbons. Conveniently, thankfully, for at least for us, they've just purchased, Buffalo Trace Distillery has just purchased multiple acres around them, and they're building more houses to barrel more whiskey. And hopefully they can get to the point where they, at least their baseline, the special reserve, the antique, is available.
Readily available. You walk in and there's a dozen bottles on the shelf.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's some in the back room too, where you don't have to go ask the manager, hey, do you got any Weller?
Yeah. Which is pretty much what you have to do
wink,
now.
nod, yeah, come back in a little bit, now I'll have a bottle for you. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Ooh.
This is very, very delicious.
Fruit notes. Cherry, apple. More of that breeze.
Yep.
More fruit note comes out of there. That's nice.
I get the apple for sure.
Still find it odd that I smell so much better out of my right nostril. So sorry that I keep cocking my head off to that side, but that seems to be the one that I can pick up more notes.
It's a good bottle. I've enjoyed this bottle. I've enjoyed this episode. How about you?
Absolutely. I'm real glad to be cracking into that guy, and fun to know that a little bit of water is just going to make that. That's the way I'm going to, I think, partake in this bottle going forward.
I think we got a few more bottles in the Buffalo Trace lineup to go, but we've enjoyed this episode. We hope you have as well. If you did, we ask you to hit the like button.
And while you're down there, could you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time we post a new video.
See you next time.
Cheers.